They're coming to get you, Barbara.
We found a lot of suspicious things out in that cemetery.
Malignant demons who issue forth from their graves in the dead of night to attack their victims and drink the blood from their veins.
You're invited to my party if the ghosts are waiting, so won't you join me?
All right, cultists, welcome back to another episode of Vagrant Fear Discussions on KHOI Radio, brought to you, of course, by Vagrant Fear Productions, Iowa's leading Midwest horror and supernatural and fear-based company. With me today, I have Collier and Starr Wilmes. They hail from Des Moines, the central Iowa area. They do a lot of well, honestly, they're into cryptid hunting. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is, first off, what is a cryptid? Why do you hunt them? And why is it so much fun? So welcome, the both of you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Go ahead and, yeah. So tell me, first off, the two of you, tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I am Collier Wellness. I have been primarily a makeup and monster maker my whole life, but I've always had an interest and fascination with cryptids and legends. Tried to make a few of my own movies about them. That's kind of how I became entwined in the Bigfoot world, where I met my amazing wife here.
Yeah, and I started out basically, I had an injury 1 year and I had a lot of time on my hands where I could dig into a lot of the mysterious, and the Bigfoot always stood out to me as there is something to this, where ended up immersing myself into the community, and the community is what really brought us together.
Yeah, we met through my buddy's old podcast. He used to do the Squatchers Lounge podcast. And eventually we decided to become a couple and look into this more seriously. I guess what we more accurately would be called as Forteans, which are just people who look into anomalous topics in general, not just cryptids, but UFOs, weird geomagnetic anomalies, ghost stories, phenomena like that. Anything outside the purview of accredited science.
Right. So if science can't explain it, there you two are trying to figure it out.
Yes.
At least to the best of our lay knowledge.
Right. So for those listening who might not understand, what would be your definition that makes something a cryptid?
Do you want to take this one or do you want me to? Basically anything, any type of creature, animal, organism or such that is not currently accepted as scientifically. A lot of people would think Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or Mothman. Those are good prime examples of cryptids.
Okay. So it seems like, yeah, I mean, everybody kind of, I mean, from history, everybody knows Loch Ness Monster, you know, Bigfoot, Yeti, things like that. So these are kind of what you would consider maybe your mainstream cryptids. Even if people don't know the term cryptid, they know Bigfoot, they know Nessie.
Yeah.
So
but a lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of animals we know now that started off as cryptids.
But they were actually proven.
Yeah, like the mountain gorilla, the okapi.
Oh, nice.
The giant panda.
Nice. Well, I mean, as people I've talked to, you know, and I'll let you listeners know that recently Van Meter, Iowa had a festival, and that's where I got to hear both Collier and Starr speak on their cryptid of choice, the Midwestern Bigfoot and everything. And I found it very interesting. But it was kind of eye-opening because I knew more of the more popular cryptids, but I also encountered the unusual ones like the frogman, the squonk, all these little things. It seems like there's quite a lot of them out there, and
there's a lot out.
Yeah, I keep thinking of places like the Amazon where they're constantly finding new things. So even in our own country, at this point, Well, I should go into this. At this point, what brought you into wanting to follow them, to find out more about them, and specifically, why the Midwestern Bigfoot? Because Iowa does not seem like Bigfoot country if you just think about it. You know, we don't have all the tall trees for them to hide, or, you know, blurry photos in the corns or anything. So why cryptids, and why specifically this Midwestern Bigfoot?
Well, it's because circumstance. I was doing a research project forever ago, and I was just looking into, okay, what does Iowa have going on? It turned out there was a strong history for like wild man type creatures that have shown up in our state. And the one that really kicked it off was this interesting case that took place in Humboldt County, Iowa in 1978, where it seemed like a lot of people were seeing these type of things. So that just, and it's like you said, we don't think of Iowa as the area that these creatures would operate in, but it seems like there is people that see them. So now naturally the question is, why are people seeing these things? It doesn't make logical sense. So looking into those types of stories and finding even stranger type of phenomena that happens around these type of stories. Like one in particular with the Odson sighting was there was a disembodied voice that was heard in the midst of one of the people seeing this ape-like creature running through the streets of the town. Some disembodied voice asking, "Do you know what time it is?" And this is like being in that town too. It kind of made it stranger because it's literally like a couple blocks. It's a really tiny town. So the fact that the witnesses heard that voice and couldn't clock who it was and felt it was strange enough to mention added a weird layer to it. Along with the kind of going to that area, getting a wider scope of weird phenomena that happens. Because we came across a lot of UFO and paranormal poltergeist type stuff that happens in that area.
Mm-hmm. That it wasn't just Sasquatch phenomena.
Yeah, there's like a weird thing where usually when you go into an area, you're looking for one phenomena, and then you soon see the other types of stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just out there. I mean, it could lead you to wherever, and it sounds like that's kind of some of the fun is just getting out there and seeing what you see, discovering what you can find.
Yeah,
I
you learn a
know.
lot about the land. Like your specialty, a lot of the time, is looking into geographical backstory.
I feel like one of the first things we should touch on is because a lot of people don't suspect Iowa being a place where Bigfoot are usually spotted, right? It's usually in like the forests of California and such. And with my experiences being up north in actually Saskatchewan, Canada, it's very similar to Iowa. Like it's more of like a farming province.
Okay.
And I found a lot of Sasquatch being spotted at certain times of the year where it seemed like they were migrating. And as we were doing more research down here, it seemed to be the same sort of phenomenon as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're passing through at certain points of the year that they were spotted,
Mm-hmm.
and that it had to do with possibly the corn harvest.
Yeah, that was like going back to what you were saying. Where are they going to hide?
Yeah, where are they hiding? Where are all
Yeah.
these trees?
Yeah. So it's not like what you're saying is Iowa itself doesn't necessarily have its little Bigfoot community. It's that they are passing through, like you said,
Absolutely.
following the harvest. So we're on more of Iowa's more of a migratory path for the Sasquatch than it is. So they're Canadians, is what you're telling me.
I think they possibly could be because like the cold is so harsh up north. Maybe they go down south in the winter and then travel back up there. It quite possibly, and a lot of these sightings are along the Des Moines River, so possibly they're traveling the river systems. But yeah, a lot of the spottings are them ducking in and out of cornfields. We also thought it was really interesting. They're not reported as tall as like the 8-foot, 9-foot tall Bigfoots
behemoths
out of California either. They seem to be shorter, so they would be able to hide easily in a cornfield.
Yeah, along with that, we can even trace even further out how the patterns go south through the state. Then they go down into Missouri, where you get a lot more sightings too there as well. Like there was the famous Momo incident in the 70s,
Mm.
where it was a very shaggy looking creature, which actually had an interesting commonality with one of the Odison sites, where one of the first times Momo was seen, it was carrying off a dead dog, and one of the first time the humble creature was seen, it was carrying off a dead cat.
Oh, wow. So you said that was in the 70s. So
Yep.
I think that's another thing that maybe people might not realize is these tales of cryptids, these stories and sightings, and that it's not something that happened, in the 1800s or the early 1900s or something. These are
Some of
still
them.
modern day sightings
Yeah.
when we have, I guess more technology, more sophistication in the world. They're still seeing these events that they can't fully explain
Oh, yeah.
or whatever. So I mean, do you, I mean, I know from hearing you both talk before, you've definitely done research into a lot of the history and everything with that. Do you think, or in your research, has it have sightings increased, or has reporting of them increased? Do you know, or has it been kind of consistent over the years of the sightings, or people at least saying they've seen things?
There has definitely been, the way I notice it operates, it never fully stops. It
No.
slows down, but it hits in waves.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely hits in waves. The 60s and 70s globally were a hot time for abnormal, anomalous phenomena
Of all
between,
kinds.
of the Bigfoot reports. That's when the Mothman sightings were kicking off.
UFO.
UFOs across the skies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It seems within times of strife, times of heightened stress, this phenomena tends to break through. I feel, at least.
It does
Yeah.
seem, yeah.
No, I agree. I'm kind of, for a while, I was a very avid UFO follower. I did a lot of the research into like the Roswell crash and things like that. And Okoboji seems to be kind of a bit of a hot spot. So when you're out there, when you hear a sighting, you read a report or anything like that, how do you prepare? How do you go in figuring out, okay, I'm going to try and uncover what happened here? How do you kind of go into it? What sort of mindset are you at?
I usually go in neutral.
Yeah.
Only you can say how you go in.
Yeah, we kind of decipher the cases as much as we can. Like, what, like, has multiple sightings been in this area before? What is like the energy of the land? What has happened in it? Maybe even historically, geographically.
If we are lucky enough, we're talking directly to the witness, we can kind of get a vibe for them. If they're genuine, because sometimes this is a field that is strife with people attempting to hoax, pull one on people,
right?
Make a quick buck. So sometimes a level of like trying to gauge how genuine that person is. And usually you can tell real quick due to the conviction and like how loud they're being. Usually if they're being a very loud person, that gives me pause, because I'm like, okay, what's their motive here?
Right.
But it's usually the people that don't want to tell their story as much that I get very interested, because that implies a level of trauma that they're going through. Like we recently investigated some Bigfoot activity that was in the west side of the state, where it was mostly secondhand that we were getting it. It was a fellow researcher couldn't make it out there, so he sent it our way to investigate. So he literally just spent the whole day like you said, you looked into like the energy of the land.
Yeah, like I was saying, we do a lot of preparation before we even get out into the field, so we kind of get a good idea of the area and what we're going into. And then once we actually like get out into the field, we actually spend a long time in the area before you could say we do like investigations at times, like when these animals would be present, say like at nighttime. So we would spend the day there. You get accustomed to the land, to the sounds you're going to hear, what's going to be going on. And then typically when it starts to get like nighttime, dusk, dawn, when these animals would probably be roaming, then you're more into that like investigative mode where you're going to possibly be seeing or hearing something.
Yeah, then you would bring any equipment that you have. This days, it's very easy. You just need your phone.
Yes.
A lot of cases. We don't do all the fancy equipment other researchers try to do. Then basically trying to track down any actual locations. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. We did one field investigation in southern Illinois where we were basically working off an old BFRO case where we were trying to attempt to track down the actual camp spot where some campers said they were basically something was knocking on their tent.
Oh.
That they thought was like acorns at first, but then they noticed there was a bit more of a repetitive pattern to it.
Okay. So this isn't like, oh, hey, we're going to go spend an afternoon out here, talk to a couple people and go home. This is your weekend. This is the time you do all the prep work ahead of time, and then you really dig in and you spend time.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time, even just like on one particular location and one investigating into one case. And then that case could expand into the area outwards, and you can
then if you feel comfortable enough with it, we'll actually log it in our sighting map, where that gives us more information into the wider phenomenon, see more readily able to see the patterns.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious about one thing. I mean, and honestly, hey, I'm Vagrant Fear. I do this. I probably believe as strong as you are in this stuff, but to be that way, when you go out, you said, okay, if they're talking loudly, they're probably out to make a buck or something like that. What would you say is kind of on average, when you go out to investigate something, how often are you drawn out to, you get out there and you're like, oh, this was a hoax. This is somebody trying to pull one over on people, versus, okay, there's something to this, that makes you want to stay longer and think that, yeah, there is some truth to what's going on here. What's kind of that mix, would you say, roughly?
As far as ratio, how often that happens, we don't really get too much of like people actively trying to hoax. Luckily, us being like very small time people, nobody's like actively looking, because the hoaxers usually try to play it over on somebody with notoriety.
Sometimes they just they may have thought they experienced something or found something, just because they don't have this type of knowledge and experience that we would have. So we go out there, and then it's maybe very much easily explainable in one way or another, whether it be a footprint or whether it be vocal sounds or something like that, as opposed to being actually
or misidentification.
Yeah.
Misidentification is probably the most common thing, and that's very common with UFOs around here. A lot of UFOs are either just a satellite that they don't know, Starlink, or being closer to Des Moines, the airport.
Yeah, that's a plane, not a UFO.
Yeah, the UFO.
Yep. So it sounds like, I mean, as we're getting close here, it sounds like this really is sort of, it definitely comes across as a passion for the two of you.
Oh yeah.
And listening to you before at Van Meter, talking to you now, I mean, this is a dedication, which is great. And I think that, it's kind of opened me up to realizing that there are a lot of people out there like you that are out there trying to uncover what the truth is, what's out there, in this day and age, in the 21st century, should we have found Bigfoot by now? Oh, with all of our tech, but still there's things out there that no, we still don't know. We still can't explain with all of this. And it's actually kind of nice to know that there's people out there like you two that still, believe that this is real. This could be a new find, but you're still open-minded enough to go out there and say, okay, it may have been this instead,
Mhm.
it's, as opposed to, unfortunately, some of the stereotypes of, cryptid hunters are the crackpots that live in a basement and everything to them is a real and a conspiracy. And that's not really the case. You two are very nice. So I don't think that you're wearing tinfoil hats and
No.
Well, I
screaming
think
at the
the
government.
distinction here is the fact that us being more identified with the 40 side of things, we're not so attached to I find a lot of researchers, they fumble when they attach themselves to a dogmatic purview of what this thing is.
Hmm.
We're more interested in, okay, people are seeing this, why are they seeing it?
Right.
Hmm.
And rather than coming up to the conclusion, right, oh, they're seeing this, so therefore it must be an anomalous wild creature that isn't cataloged yet.
Yeah.
It could be far weirder and more interesting than just being an uncatalogued creature.
Hmm.
True. And I know, Collier, for you especially, this goes beyond just trying to find out the truth. I mean, you said before you've done makeup and masks and things like that. You've taken this Iowa Sasquatch thing a step further with your love for it, and you've kind of created sort of a product, off of this, a little passion project that you're working on. Would you mind sharing that with us?
I would love to. Well, I've always loved the idea of doing a Bigfoot related story and having the ability to draw and make things. I thought it'd be fun, and I'd never seen it done quite to this level yet, of doing a comic book based on the Odyssean saga in particular, where, like I said, the town of Humboldt, or the
Yeah.
county of Humboldt rather, was seeing this thing multiple times and trying to capture that as a story that people could pick up and read,
Yeah.
which I actually have a copy here. For the audio listeners, it is going to be called Sasquatch of the Corn,
Nice.
based on true events. And I'm hoping to have it out in 2026.
Oh, perfect. That's amazing. It's great that you can kind of, cover a lot of different creative grounds with it, and like you said, getting it in people's hands in a form that they can easily read and digest and understand. It may forward it on. So if somebody were to want to know more about what the two of you are doing, do you guys have like a website or anything, any way to contact you if they, well, either if they want to learn more or they said, hey, now that I'm listening, there was this time when I saw this thing in the cornfield. How can people reach out to you?
Well, they can reach out to us either on Instagram. We are under Anomalous Midwest on Instagram. And you can shoot us an email directly, anomalousmidwest, all one word, @gmail.com. We love
Perfect.
getting witness stories. We've talked to a fair amount of witnesses and gotten some very interesting stories. So we're
Excellent.
always open.
And don't worry, listeners. I will go ahead and I'm going to post that link on our Facebook page. So if you want to visit us over at Vagrant Fear Productions on Facebook, I will put that link up so you can have a direct link into at least the Instagram, which will get you going. And honestly, both of you, it's been a complete pleasure to speak with both of you about this. I love the fact that it started off as a separate passion, and then you met each other. You had a new passion there, and and it's nice to know that you didn't think she was a big. Well, actually, for those of you who can't see, I think Starr would have thought that Collier would have been a Bigfoot at the time. So and it's just the hair. I'm not saying he looks like a giant primate, but
He's a wild man.
he's a wild man. So yeah, no, it's great fun. And like I said, I met them down at the Van Meter Festival, which was this past November, October,
No, it was September.
September. Time is a blur, people. Time is a blur.
Time is just a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Oh, thank you, Doctor, very much. Appreciate that. So Yeah, that's been going on for 6 years, so that's an annual thing. And not only did Collier and Starr speak, there were other cryptid hunters out there that spoke over the weekend, and they had a lot of different things to say. And it wasn't just the Van Meter visitor, which I suggest, if you're curious, is probably one of the more infamous and more famous of the Iowa cryptids. And that story is pretty interesting as well. So you can probably just go straight to the website for the town and you'll get a link to that. But yeah, and it's really fun to know that it's not just, oh, the Mothman, oh, Bigfoot. There's a lot out there, and that you what is it, Fortean is what you said you were you,
Yes.
you try and figure it out.
Fortean, which is Fortean. Yes.
Fortean.
Yeah.
So not the president, but a fort.
No.
So
It's based off of Charles Fort, who wrote a lot about these topics in the early 1900s.
perfect. Excellent. Well, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, cultists alike, look for that link if you want to learn more. Anomalous Midwest on Instagram. Go search out Collier and Starr. You will find out a lot more. There's other links out there. I'll just throw a free bone out there for the Midnight Cryptid Club. They also do a variety of little things too. But check out these two. They are the real deal. They know what they're doing. They're not just, you know, two kids being weird, having fun on a weekend. They are serious about what they're doing, and they are good at what they do. And we are looking forward to that comic book coming out next year. Sasquatch of the Corn. We'll definitely keep our eyes out for it. So thank you again, Collier and Starr Wilmes. I really do appreciate talking with you tonight. And cultists, listen up. Next week we'll have another wonderful radio show and another very interesting discussion with somebody on the topics of horror, fear, or anything weird supernatural. So until then, this has been David, aka Gnarly. Again, thank you both for arriving, and I wish you both happy hunting. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week.
Tonight's episode of Vagrant Fear Discussions is brought to you by Vagrant Fear Productions and KHOI 89.1. Your host was David Detlefs. Music included Day of Chaos and Dopplerette by Kevin MacLeod, Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.